Tonight on MetroNews, palm oil is no monkey business. A kids' book says let's talk about bullying. And a mall opens its doors to our furry friends. Kia ora, good evening.
Welcome to your local news, brought to you by the students of the New Zealand Broadcasting School.
A local wildlife park is campaigning to stop manufacturers using palm oil and at the same time protect the rainforests. Orana Park says both orangutans and tigers are in danger because their habitats are being destroyed. Devin Bolger reports.
Tigers and orangutans. Just two of the species suffering from the palm oil industry in Malaysia and Indonesia. Orana Park wants you to think about what you're buying, calling for mandatory labelling on products with palm oil.
That means that consumers can then identify what palm oil is in. And at the moment, the big problem is it can be described as vegetable oil legally. And there's also, for the individual derived compounds we use, there are over 202 names that it appears as. So as a consumer, we can't identify.
In the past 10 years, the orangutan population has halved as a result of deforestation. Indonesia has currently cleared around 6 million hectares of tropical forest for palm oil production. Palm oil is found in roughly half of all packaged products in supermarkets, like soap, makeup and some foods. Deforestation and mandatory palm oil labelling was discussed earlier this year by Australian and New Zealand food safety ministers. The next stage later this year will include public submissions. Orana Park says it's doing its best for animal conservation, but worries about continued unsustainable palm oil production.
The direct deforestation removes not only their food, but also their homes, their shelter. It has a huge impact on them. They're an arboreal species. They'll spend 95 to 99% of their life in the trees. And by removing those trees, they have no prospects in that area, so they're driven out.
If we don't do something soon, animals like these orangutans will become extinct. So look out for the certified sustainable palm oil logo when you're next at the supermarket. Devin Bolger, Metro News.
It's been a rough night for dairies in Christchurch with 3 robberies in less than 12 hours. Shops in Linwood, Templeton and Riccarton were all robbed overnight, with offenders stealing items such as cigarettes, tobacco and cash. Police are still unsure if the robberies are linked.
More Cantabrians are getting their hands dirty volunteering to improve the city's green spaces. As Brooke Jenner discovers, the latest effort at Hallsville Quarry involves both local and international visitors lending a hand.
When's the last time you got green fingers? In the past 7 years, Canterbury's had more volunteers in green spaces than ever before.
And a lot of that has to do with the earthquake and the fire. There's all sorts of people getting involved in all sorts of activities across the city. It's a really good movement.
Park Ranger Nigel's planting days at Hallsville Quarry Park attract up to 300 community volunteers.
There's elderly people, there's children, there are toddlers that come along in their gumboots and just love paddling around in the mud.
Hallsville Quarry operated from 1861 to 1990 and provided cut stone for several significant buildings around the city. Nowadays it serves a multitude of recreational purposes and is a hotspot for conservation.
It's a jewel out here and we are so grateful and appreciative of the fact that people back in the 90s fought for this, because it may not have been here unless those community people had stood up and said no, we must preserve it.
From next month, the park's historic Patterson House will be home to local and overseas workers from Conservation Volunteers New Zealand.
I'm just totally blown away really that we get to offer that as a residence for our international volunteers.
We need people to educate us about, you know, what we have here and what we need to look after. So no, I think it's a fantastic initiative, so we're really lucky to have them.
And with Volunteer Week just a fortnight away, there's plenty of opportunity to get involved wherever you are in the city.
There'll be lots of exciting opportunities for volunteers or people in the community to come out and volunteer and do lots of exciting things.
Well, it could be as little as looking after their backyard or just getting involved in your local park.
Like those before them, these volunteers are clearing the path to a greener future. Brooke Jenner, Metro News.
The Crusaders and their famous horses are teaming up with a real estate company to fight bullying. Figures show 1 in 4 kids are affected every month, so they're producing a book to encourage children to speak up. Ryan Anderson is covering the story and joins us now. Ryan.
Now, it's obvious to see when looking at bullying statistics why Baileys and the Crusaders decided to help out. New Zealand has a terrible rate of bullying. Now, in a meeting Baileys had with about 100 of their staff, they asked how many were affected by bullying as a child, and pretty much everyone raised their hand. So they decided to do something about it, and that's where the horses come in, with one in particular called Ace. A sight every Crusaders fan knows well, but soon these horses won't just be appearing with the team. They'll be in a book all about bullying. It's a team effort involving the Crusaders, the Make-A-Wish Foundation and Baileys Real Estate.
The community is the core of or the heart of our business, so how can we in a meaningful way give back to the community, and that's how the whole thing grew from there.
Meet Ace, a horse who doesn't quite fit in and as a result gets picked on. Their message, speak up.
I think simply put, it's just let's talk about it. I mean, don't keep it to yourself. Talk about the issues and the problems associated with bullying.
The campaign is fronted by Crusaders captain Sam Whitelock.
It's never okay. It's up to all of us to make it stop.
It says that it's important when Sam leads it, but he's also a dad, and he cares deeply about the community that his young family are starting to grow up in.
This campaign started after a recent survey found that New Zealand has the second highest rate for bullying in the OECD. And so on top of trying to bring bullying statistics down, this book also gives all proceeds to the Make-A-Wish Foundation to help kids in need.
They often, in fact, come for the horses rather than the footy. And therefore, if they can see them in a slightly different light, if they're facing issues or they see issues of bullying, that they are then feeling brave enough to tell someone, to talk about it.
I think the way that they've used the Crusaders horses is just top-notch. I know growing up in Canterbury as a kid, it was always great to go to the games and see the horses trotting around.
The books are being sold online and at home games, another good reason to get along to the clash with the Highlanders in July. And now book sales have been going really well with lots of people buying online. But if you want to support the cause, you can always head down to the Highlanders match on the 6th of July, or if you happen to miss out on that, you can head down to the Blues game where they'll also be selling books all around the grounds. The main message Baileys wants to get across is that it's okay to say you need help and it's okay to reach out.
A very important message. Thanks, Ryan. Coming up, local sport makes a comeback on radio, and we meet Christchurch's very own good sort.
My name is Aaron Soma, from New Zealand originally. Now I'm working at the BBC in London, at BBC World as a producer. So I went to broadcasting school, studied there, and then got my internship at TVNZ. Decided London was calling, so came here, started working at BBC World, and I've been here for about 3 or 4 months now. Absolutely just fell in love with this place. I mean, it's incredible. It's like a dream for any journalist. And to know that what you're producing is going out to tens of millions of people every hour, people watching it around the globe. It's incredible. There's that saying, the city that never sleeps, and this is one of those, of course. It's a huge, huge place. Great different little pockets of the city. It's amazing, it's always buzzing. At the moment I'm working night shifts, so that's overnight. So I start at about 10 p.m. and finish at 7 a.m. When I arrive, America is just going to sleep, but Asia is opening up, and then Europe starts to open up. So it feels like a bit of a dream actually to be working here. The course is great because it's very much in line with what the industry is doing, and that's really important because it gives you this kind of almost this worldly knowledge of what's actually happening. It can lead you to this big wide world. You can do whatever you want to do, put your mind to it, and get out there and see what's around.
Welcome back. Local sport is struggling to get coverage these days due to cutbacks in radio, television and print media. But here in Christchurch, one weekend radio show is swimming against the tide, so I went to check it out. With most media turning a cold shoulder to local club sport, a knight in shining armour has emerged.
Good afternoon and welcome to Red and Black Radio. Thanks for joining us.
Red and Black is a radio sport show run by NZME that focuses purely on club sport.
There's a big gap in the market and we think it's really important. Red and Black is a Canterbury sports show put together by Canterbury people for Canterbury people.
The show runs from 2 to 5 on Saturday afternoons with host Matt Richins, a local who enjoys his sport.
It's something I'm passionate about. I really like club sport. If I wasn't doing this, I'd be bundling my kids up and taking them to watch New Brighton play rugby or watching a football game or something.
Given Canterbury's pedigree in New Zealand's sporting scene, there was a clear need to uncover sport at a local level.
Red and Black showcases aspiring and red and black champions, and per capita, Canterbury produces more national and international champions than anywhere else in the country. So of course we need a radio show to do that.
TVNZ Sports Juno, proud Cantab and all-round good rooster. Guy Havelt's going to join us to talk a little bit about the Crusaders game.
The show's back again this year with a big supporting cast.
While we're talking about 19 people helping red and black, we've got the amazing round-the-ground volunteers.
A lot of those working on the show may not be qualified, but what they are is passionate.
The fact that it's not polished and perfect, to me, is part of the charm. We're just real people doing it.
And the team have big hopes for the show going forward.
Taking over and being a national program run out of Christchurch, being the program that Radio Sport will lead with.
For now, they'll just keep putting Canterbury sport in the spotlight.
We just try and be a bit of a destination for people to go to find out what's happening in all sports all around them. So if we can carry on doing that, that is kind of our end goal.
A goal they're determined to achieve. Isaiah Smiler, MetroNews.
Some of Christchurch's youngest citizens are leading the charge in robot technology. A childhood pastime is being used to build amazing machines that can move and talk. Jacob Johnson has more.
It may look like child's play, but these kids are actually using Lego to build their own robots. The Imagination Station's offering robot building courses to get kids enthused about technology.
For something like this, it's really about exposure. And so if they can at least pick up something about, oh, the programming I did actually made my robot do what I wanted it to do, or at least got most of the way there, then that's really helpful for them to be able to take that on later on in life.
And programming the robots is exactly what these kids are doing, using coding software to get them moving. After building their robot, the kids can put their skills to the test on the track with a remote control or hands-free using autonomous technology. And keeping our kids interested in tech is more important for Christchurch than we think.
Christchurch is the second biggest tech sector in New Zealand, and to be honest with you, most people don't understand that.
The Imagination Station had some special guests as well. Local father and son team Andrew and Avery Dean, who took their Lego skills all the way to Europe.
I'm Foggy Willikers, and I run on Lego Mindstorms.
They agree that building and having fun with these robots is teaching kids important engineering skills.
A starting point for technology is playing with technology, and especially when you're building robots and making Lego, people don't realize they're actually learning the processes you would need.
11-year-old Avery built his first robot 4 years ago and is keen to get into robotics when he's older.
In the future, as we go, I don't want to be the ones being chased by robots. I'd much rather be the one at the keyboard programming the robots.
The future of technology in Christchurch looks bright. But for now, these kids are taking it one brick at a time. Jacob Johnson, MetroNews.
What's your plan for retirement? It's probably relaxing and taking things easy. Well, for one man, it's the complete opposite. After more than 20 years of cleaning a Christchurch walkway, there's no stopping this volunteer. Abby Wakefield meets an 87-year-old making a difference.
Red boots, red gloves, and the man himself, Red Maddock. Red has been cleaning the Brockworth alleyway as a volunteer for nearly 30 years.
I started on the 2nd September 1995.
Red is in his 80s and spends most of his week keeping this 220-metre strip beautiful and tidy.
First of all, weekly I pick up rubbish, all rubbish from McDonald's, KFC, bottles, tinnies, anything that's on the walkway.
And all of Red's efforts have not gone unnoticed by the community.
Oh, he's planting, transplanting, pulling out weeds, cleaning up. Yeah, he works really hard.
This summer's been so dry and the ground's been like concrete, and so it's been almost actually warm out.
Red's really friendly. He's got a real heart for the community and he's making an impact, one person making an impact.
The reward is for people to stop and say thank you. and so I feel as though I'm contributing something.
The murals are also his idea, as well as getting artists on board.
First of all, the tagging on this fence behind me was used to take all morning sometimes, and I couldn't do my work. It meant a lot to me because it's part of my life from 1995, and it's a living walkway. I would like to be an inspiration to others to clean up and be tidy.
So why does he like red so much?
Red for danger.
A modest man making a big difference. Abby Wakefield, Metro News.
Devon Bolger joins us now in studio with Anzac Galate, who's making huge strides for sustainability in Christchurch. Devon?
So Anzac, you're obviously very passionate about the environment. So what was it that got you hooked on sustainability?
Yeah, sure. So when I was little, I was really interested in the environment and fascinated by the animal kingdom. And then exploring kind of information about the environment, you know, that obviously led to some of the environmental issues that are going on in the world today. And from there, just kind of the importance for actually us as humans, as a species, in terms of looking after our environment for our own survival, but also for our quality of life and having a good quality of life. And then transitioning into sustainability, it was all about realising that we as students and individuals in society can actually have an impact on that.
Yeah, so we've got a photo here of Cashmere High with some solar panels. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so a few years ago with our High School Sustainability Council, we started a Switch It Off campaign, which was all about reducing energy consumption within our school. And just through promoting turning off lights and projectors and stuff like that, we managed to reduce our total energy consumption by 10%, and then we took that a further 20% by installing LED lights with the savings that we made from that. And then from there we applied to the Zayed Future Energy Prize, which is an international sustainability award hosted by the United Arab Emirates. And taking our projects to them and also our proposal, we actually won the prize in 2016, and they gave us $100,000 to install solar panels, a wind turbine and piezoelectric tiles within our school. So those that photo there was some of the 100 solar panels that we have in our school now as a result of that prize. The piezoelectric tiles are coming in later on. They're essentially energy or tiles that generate energy when students step on them. So they're going in our new science block, and our wind turbines in the driveway currently. So.
Wow. So we've got a photo here of you in Abu Dhabi. So how'd you end up there?
Yeah, so part of the prize, one of the most or another really exciting aspect to it for our students was being actually able to go over to the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, and there we got to present on a panel in front of schools from all across the Middle East and from Europe. So in that photo there we're presenting up on a panel, and next to me is a student from South Korea who's working in a school, and they're doing very similar things. So part of that experience was meeting students from across the globe that were doing similar things to us that were you know, also part of the prize, and that was really awesome to be able to collaborate with those students.
Awesome. I've just got one final question here for you. So what advice do you have for young people hoping to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, so I guess my main piece of advice would be just to get involved and don't doubt what, you know, small beginnings can actually, or where small beginnings can actually take you with the Zayed Future Energy Prize. When we started off just encouraging people to switch off lights and switch off projectors, we never thought we'd, you know, end up going that far and actually being able to travel overseas because of that opportunity. So it's just crazy. So yeah, don't doubt where small projects and stuff like that can take you.
Awesome. Thanks, Anzac.
Cheers.
Thanks, Devon. After the break, Rugby League fever hits Christchurch, and our furry friends get to tag along for some retail therapy.
My name is Nan Surasampan. I work in the camera department in film and television. Currently I'm in Brussels shooting a little piece, but I'm based in London and I travel all over the world filming bits and pieces here and there. Graduated 4 years ago from the New Zealand Broadcasting School. From then I've just been all over the place, working on documentaries, commercials, TV series, reality shows, all sorts of stuff. After doing my internship with a local company in Christchurch, I moved over to New York. From New York I went over to Vancouver. From Vancouver I moved over to London. Working in Europe is amazing. The history that surrounds you, it's older than the country that I grew up in, and to me that's very inspiring. The course was very practical, which was exactly what I needed. To do what I do, you need to really have your hands on the equipment to kind of feel where things need to be and how to frame and everything. The past 4 years after graduating from broadcasting school have been the best years of my life. Not many people can say, I do what I love as a living. I can safely say that. Every day I go to work, there's something new that I learn. It's very exciting for me.
Welcome back. NRL fever is sweeping Christchurch with the Warriors and the Manly Sea Eagles playing here this weekend. For the teams, it's an opportunity to promote the sport in a rugby-mad city. James Regan caught up with the Australian visitors.
The Manly Sea Eagles showing they're just normal guys. It's not just training all week. The NRL side made time for a visit to a Christchurch school where league's popular. Aidan Whenua-Blake, Lloyd Parrott and Captain Daly Cherry Evans shared their thoughts on respect and hard work with Cathedral College students.
I think sharing your own experiences growing up is certainly important for kids to understand that when it comes to NRL players, it just doesn't happen. It's off the back of persistence and hard work.
The school more than keen to have the players come along.
Oh, we were hugely appreciative. I mean, for a start, it's a rugby union city, so to have some league boys coming in, and we've got got a large number of league players, so it's great for them to to see the guys in the flesh.
The NRL is also enthusiastic on giving back and sharing a positive message.
You can't go wrong trying to spread what NRL's about in places such as New Zealand. There's a big rush of rugby league coming through this place right now, and hopefully we're doing our job to promote it.
Cathedral College keen to get students to see the value in hard work from those who know how to get to the top.
Look, if you've got role models like that coming in and they're reinforcing that message, clearly it's going to be beneficial, and hopefully we're going to see some results from it in terms of better behaviours, high levels of achievement.
Manly play the Warriors at AMI Stadium on Saturday evening. James Regan, MetroNews.
Christchurch is making moves to include our furry friends in more of our favourite places. Hornby Mall is the first in the country to invite pets along with their human counterparts. Aaron Darmond reports.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, and at the Hub Hornby...
Sit. Yeah, basically. Say grace.
That's truer than ever.
Goosey.
Oh, absolutely. They're wonderful. I've never met a dog I didn't like.
She's definitely my best friend.
The mall's held New Zealand's first ever Take Your Pet shopping night, a hit with both pets and owners.
Just seeing the variety of pets brought down, the smiles on everyone's faces, the staff have loved it, which has been really, really cool, so a real point of difference as well.
But there's a serious idea behind it. Marsden wants restrictions on where pets can go around the city loosened, as pet ownership here soars.
Well, timing's probably about right now. We're hearing a lot of millennials having fur babies now, rather than real babies.
Animal behavioural psychologist Susan Morton is ready for pets to play a bigger role in everyday life.
And it's very accepted now to have your dog in the outside seating of a cafe, and I can't see why that shouldn't merge into, having your dog as part of everyday life.
Although animals with customers are a common sight in Australia and Europe, New Zealand has been reluctant to adopt the idea. Environment Canterbury, though, isn't looking to change their animal policy, including on public transport, saying the only animal allowed on board buses is a guide dog or guide dog in training. But ECAN is watching the changes in policy in Auckland and Wellington with interest. The issues dividing opinion.
The moves now in Auckland and Wellington are positive. Here in Christchurch, not so much.
If you're going to make good behaved dogs the norm, you need to make opportunities where they're seen in public.
It doesn't suit every dog, so owners have to be quite realistic about what their dogs can cope with.
For those with well-behaved pets, animal shopping nights in Hornby will happen more often.
But I know it's been a success, so I reckon this will become a regular here.
In spite of that, it doesn't look like ECAM will let the dogs out anytime soon. Aaron Darman, MetroNews.
And now to weather. Jack, will we have some sun to send off the week?
Well, Connor, it's not looking too bad. It's mostly been another cold and cloudy day for the country. However, Auckland seemed to be the place to be, avoiding the rain with a high of 13. Christchurch hasn't been too cold today though, but it's creeping down to 5 degrees later tonight. Enjoy that 5 degrees though, because it's set to fall below freezing tomorrow night with a low of 0 and a high of 12. And further south, it's probably not the greatest day to hang out the washing either. With cloud in Ashburton and Timaru, temperatures will drop under 0. So it's definitely a night to turn on the electric blanket, grab your hot water bottle, or it's going to be a chilly one. Further north, it's not looking so bad, but it's nothing above freezing overnight, but it's still not a day to go to the pools, with Hanmer staying below 10 and the rest of the region only reaching into the low teens. Looking a bit further forward, it's looking like Saturday will be a good day to take the kids to sport, but don't leave the lawns till Sunday as showers are set to hit the Garden City. And that's the weather. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and don't worry, tomorrow's Friday.
Thanks, Jack. That's Metro News for tonight.
For those stories and more, head to our website metronews.co.nz. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter.
Join us again tomorrow night. I'm Isaiah Smilo.
And I'm Connor Haley.
Ka kite anō.